Good afternoon, everyone. It's just also Jesse here. Just this afternoon I've been watching this teaching by a man named Rob Skiba, and Rob was talking about mythology and the Bible and the end times. He made a point on how the pagan religion started, who was on the leash of it, that there were giants in the earth back in the days. And he actually also quoted the book that I made a video of it just like 2 days ago, I believe. The book of Yasha. He mentioned how the Tower of Babel was built and why God sent judgment on that. Some of the gods of the many religions and their connections to them. But he also mentioned that like back in those times they were transhuman breeding. Men and horses, men and ghosts, that kind of stuff, the Minotaur, centaurs, half human, half animal. And was touching on the idea that scientists in these days are also reproducing what was back then in a pre-flood world that caused God to destroy the earth. And as he was teaching, he was talking about these genius scientists planning to make athletes. I've seen people with artificial intelligence implanted in their minds. And he was showing the plans that they have in order to achieve this. And as I was watching and seeing those plans, I remember the dream that I had about 4 years ago when I was in hospital, actually. And in the dream, like the whole world was in a confusion. There were rioting, there was looting, there was people going crazy here and there. And I swore too, in the dream, in my understanding, the dream was that Trump had just finished his third term in office and was going out. And just right after that, all the looting that I was talking about started, people stealing from shops, all that kind of stuff. There was chaos. Yeah. And when I had the dream, I made a quick recording of it and sent to my friends for them to hear what I thought about it. And I was saying that God had put Donald Trump in the office as like a hedge, a safeguard to protect people from darkness to come. How would have been good if he had stayed in the office than for him to have finished his term so quick, because with him out of the way, things were just gonna start rolling down till we're in chaos, really. And in that recording, I was saying that had God kept him there, all the hard times that we were going to experience would have been delayed. And I was thinking that I understood what the dream meant. But when I was watching this video and it started going into the plans for transhumanism, like the first stage, 2015, 2020, second stage, 2020, 2025, there are 4 stages that he mentioned there. It reminded me of the dream that I had about that I just shared with you, because it mentioned the year 2040 to 2045 in regard to these transhumans. And I also remembered that I read a book by a man named Thomas Hunt, which he wrote also in 2020. And I got and read pretty quick. And that man's book opened my eyes to some deceptions that I wasn't fully aware of then. But yeah, he showed me that biblically, Christ would come back to start the millennial reign. But the millennial reign, or also I'll backtrack a bit there. Astronomically, an age always represented 2 millenniums. But the age to come is only 1 millennium. But our timing and understanding of the ages to come was that even after the age to come had been announced, and you know that you're going into that age, the old age that was phases out eventually over time before it's completely finished and the new ones began. That's what I learned from that man's book. And he showed some historical starts and ends to the ages, and also took me through many ancient teachings, ancient understandings that helped you understand it better. So yeah, at that point when I was reading that book, I was thinking to myself that there's only like 10, 15, 20 years left of us people having normality before we're in a great tribulation, and Christ was to come back right after. And like in my mind too, the great tribulation was going to be like 7 years or 3.5 years, and then everything will be finished. But when I read his book, my eyes got open, and I noticed that really the Bible doesn't tell us that the final trial for the people on the earth will have to go for 3.5 years. But that 3.5 years was something that was posited alongside the Dark Ages, a time of paper rule over Europe, from the time of Vigilius in 558 AD to the time where I believe Pope Pius was dethroned and taken off the papal throne and taken into exile. That was what the 3.5 years really was. But in our time, before Christ was to come, there's no distinction of time as to how long that would last. So when I understood that, then I knew that really Christ hasn't shown us clearly and succinctly what's happened, how long it's going to last for, so that we can think to know when it's going to end. He just tells us that it's going to happen. That's what I understood from that book. And there used to be a verse in Revelations that made me to think that the 3.5 years, which put into days is 1,260 days, which is their year, 1,260 years of the time when the papacy was ruling the Dark Ages, will be just will just be a one-term factor. 1 year, one-term factor. Because when it is mentioned again in Revelation chapter 13, in the Revelation chapter 13 is talking about a beast that was come out of the sea, which had 10 horns and 7 heads, and it was like a merge of a leopard, a bear, and a lion. And that beast was to receive a deadly wound, which would eventually be healed. But I read from verse 4. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months. See that's verse 5, 40 and 2 months. That 40 and 2 months is the same as 3.5 years, which is also the same as 1,260 days. Normally, when I used to read this, I used to think to myself that the Dark Ages, the 1,260 years of which the Pope was ruling over Europe, was to be repeated, but literally this time when I read that. But I came to understand that when it said that power was to be given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months, it didn't necessarily mean that I will be given that power to that a second time. But it's really just summing up what has already been said before and explaining who that beast was and what it had done. Because right after that, in the same chapter in verse 11, it says, And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake like a dragon. So, the first beast, the beast that came out of water, which had a deadly wound that was healed, had 40 and 2 months to reign. That time is finished. So that beast time is over. But when you go into Revelation chapter 13, verse 11, it says, And I beheld another beast. So first there was one beast which reigned for 40 and 2 months. Now there's another beast. It's not the same timing, because this beast will have 2 horns like a lamb and speak as a dragon, and he will cause the whole earth. I'll just read the verse. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose wound was healed. It's like I was saying, I understood that verse as meaning that the first beast will reign, will have another 40 and 2 months, but literal 40 and 2 months. But after the book and after studying the chapter, I realized that 40 and 2 months was in the past. And that was the time of the first beast that came out of the waters. But the second beast will supersede the first beast. And when the second beast comes, it will be the time of the second beast, which is not the same as the time of the first beast. That's when I understood. And that's when I knew that we can't really know exactly when Christ is coming back. But even in the tribulation that is ahead of us as Christians, that is ahead of Christians, and of course the whole world in conjunction, because this will be a time of choosing who will you serve. The Bible actually has not specified a duration time. So it could be a short time, it could be a longer time. All we know is that the trials of the end times will fall on us in the time of the second beast, which came out of the earth, which had 2 horns like a lamb and spake as a dragon. So the papacy ruled in Europe during the Dark Ages and gave the world the time of great tribulation. But now in the time of the second beast, there'll be another test on those who serve the Lord, because in the same chapter, in verse 13, in verse 15, he talks about the second beast making an image to the first beast, and that image similar to what Rob Skeeter was talking about transhumanism, because these scientists think they've become so smart they can make machines which can think far better than us. In verse 13, however, I start from verse 14. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means. So I'll start from verse 13 instead. He doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, that's the first beast, which had the wound by the sword and did live. And verse 15, and he had power to give unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Verse 16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. And that is the end time test. End time test of faith for the whole world. Christians, Buddhists, Hindus, Muslims, Jews, everyone. When the second beast was to rise on the earth and make an image to the first beast, that all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, should receive a mark on their right hand or on their forehead. In verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. That's the end time test, which comes on the earth in a time of the second beast, the beast that rises out of the earth that had 2 horns like a lamb and speak as a dragon. Now, Rob Skeeter reminded me of the dream that I dreamt and what I've learned not long ago. And I remember, like I said, that I made a recording of that dream. But at the same time too, like, I believe that the interpretation wasn't the one that I gave it. Because I believe, based on a dream that I had, that when I heard that Trump had 3 terms in the dream, it wasn't promptly like I thought, but prophetic. Just because he lost the 2020 elections did not mean he cannot come back to office. And does not mean he cannot have a 3rd term like I heard in the dream. So yeah, Rob's came it triggered my memory. And the Lord wanted me to share this, so I made this quick video to explain that we're in the last days. There will be a time of tribulation coming on the earth soon. And these verses I just read from Revelation chapter 13 are soon to be implemented. Very soon. We will all have to go through the test of whether we worship the beast or not, whether we take his mark or not, whether we stand true to God or we bow to the powers of now. But like I saw in the dream, for as long as Trump is in office, this time will be late. God bless you all. Pray for me. Amen.